gathering like this, because you know it's sad though, because you know you look and you know Jackson County's represented well. There's Clay County, Leslie County, a lot of counties represented here. But you look at people that are here. How big should this meeting actually be? You know, people are, you know, they're saying, you know, they don't want to come together. Well, they have what we call, you know, the urban reservations that they're going to put in someday. We were talking about that. FEMA camps, they'll be able to get all the people together that way. Until, you know, they hear little sparks start. I walk, every time I come here, I mean, I get goosebumps when I walk in here. And I feel there's a different spirit when you walk in here, when you have people with like minds and like hearts that care for what the Constitution stands for, that care for our rights, they care about people. And that's the deal, is the government's trying to keep everybody so busy doing other things and getting involved in other things that they're pulling people away from, you know, being able to even have meetings like this, the freedom of that. But you know, we look back over history, and back over history, 3% of the people got together. You know, we don't have 3% yet, but we need to keep working towards that. If we can get little sparks, if each of us can leave here with that little spark, and if it can be fanned into a flame. The government is doing that. They're little sparks like Bundy Ranch. That's a little spark that they started. But I don't think they expected the outpouring of the American people to go there and support and to stand with those people. I think that's surprising. There's sheriffs come from all over the country that went there for a sheriff that would not stand up for his people. My interest in this is I'd love to be able to educate sheriffs and be able to train sheriffs as to their responsibilities towards their people, what their right and their job is to the people, is to protect their people. They're the last line of liberty for the people. But you imagine if they take the sheriff away, from there on it's just bureaucrats that are pushing anything that they want towards us. And it all reflects back on our freedom. Every bit of it reflects back on our freedom. You know, we talk about schools, we talk about jobs, we talk about, the government right now is trying to control all those things. I had an idea one time, what if we just locked off the borders of Kentucky, you know, and say we don't want to push the federal government out? What if we locked off our borders? And what if we all of a sudden opened our mines, and coal mines, and what if we started raising hemp? You realize that we would be an export, that our county, our state could heal itself probably overnight. And look at the jobs we'd have. We'd be productive. But, you know, they're saying, well, the government's not going to let you, you know, transport on the highways, you know, because of the federal laws and stuff. But, you know, if every state would just stand up and do that, they work for us. We don't work for them. They do the little thing of being able to give us grants, especially in law enforcement. They'll give you grants for this, they'll give you grants for that, but every one of them has a little string attached to it. I have never accepted a federal grant because I depend on Kentucky people. I depend on the people of my county to help with what we need. The federal has no business coming into our county, giving us something and telling us that we have rules to live by. We live by the Constitution. And I believe when God made that, gave that in man's heart, when he knew that we'd be sitting here one day having to defend and having to protect that. And I believe that he's given each of us that desire, but it's going to take a group of us coming together. Not one person by themselves can do this. But as a group like this comes together and we keep encouraging and keep doing things to help each other and become involved and go to the next meeting, and get involved, we're going to find that, you know, we actually have a group that can actually stand up against federal government. You know, and federal government, just like when they come in, right now the IRS comes into my county, they come to my office first. I have a resolution in my county that was presented to the federal government in January. I went with 75 other sheriffs into Vegas, and we sat down and we crunched out a resolution to the federal government as to what would be tolerated in our counties. There's not much tolerated from the federal government in Jackson County. Because what it is on that resolution, there's 75 of us put that together, and it's so severe that only 37 signed it. One guy signed it. When he got back, they had dissolved his department. They got rid of him. He lost everything because he signed his name to something to protect his people. And that's what we're up against right now. And each one of us has a chance to play a part in that, to protect the people around us. Encourage your sheriff. Start asking questions. You know, we're tired of, you know, and boldness comes, you know, people are starting to get bold. You know, boldness comes from people that are sick and tired. And I believe people are just getting sick and tired. And that boldness is not a bad thing. Because business of our country should not be done behind closed doors. It should be to where we know what's going on with it. You know, it should be local government. Local government is actually the strongest form of government because we all know each other and we can actually control it right there. But once it goes from there, it keeps getting bigger and bigger, and then it's out of control. But I'm just glad to have the opportunity to come here to have like minds and like hearts and be able to share and just make new friends, new contacts. And down the road, I think it's going to be very valuable and very important to each of us to be able to know where our country stands, where we stand, and where that line's drawn. And we need to make sure everybody knows what side of the line we're on. Thank you.